Do you really believe that garbage?
It's not about believing, it's a matter of fact.
So you believe?
Yeah, about to have me some duckton. What the f? What the heck? What did he go? I had my mouth. What the f?
I just shot myself.
In any country, prison is where society sends its failures. But in this country, society itself is failing.
I'd like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
We won the evangelicals. We won with young. We won with old. We won with highly educated. We won with poorly educated. I love the poorly educated.
You crazy.
Grab him by the pussy.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Stay
shut your mouth, because you don't know what you're talking about. Yes, I did.
Hold it, tough guy. I'm not afraid of physical. Hold it.
Don't sit there and tell me I'm not.
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, "Fool me once, shame on you. You fool me, you can't get fooled again."
They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime. They're rapists. And some, I assume, are good people. Stand back and stand by. Will you shut up, man?
Last thing was Olivia Gondak. It says that I wanted to eat her pussy. Olivia Gondak. I've never said that in my life to her. I would never do that. I'm happily married. I've got more than enough to eat at home. Thank you very much.
You got to come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Okay. I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody, and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible. I went to an Ivy League school. I'm very highly educated. I know words. I have the best words. We now have a gun on every table. We're ready to start shooting.
By the way, maybe you could inject some bleach in your arm, and that would take care of it. This is the same man.
Sarcastically.
That was...
Even though they're trying to impeach the son of a bitch. Can you believe that? You believe that? That's enough. Put down the mic.
Mr. President, are you worried about indictments coming down in this investigation?
Punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
If I may ask
Peter,
one other question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, I was going to ask one other.
I don't want reality. I'm asking the question, which one is better? That's exactly what it is.
Got it on tape.
What a stupid son of a bitch.
I don't
don't like words that hide the truth. I don't like words that conceal reality. I don't like euphemisms or euphemistic language. And American English is loaded with euphemisms because Americans have a lot of trouble dealing with reality. Americans have trouble facing the truth. So they invent a kind of a soft language to protect themselves from it. And it gets worse with every generation. For some reason, it just keeps getting worse.
How stupid are these politicians to allow this to happen?
If you want to run your mouth, we can be two consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on.
Big
Oh,
guy.
oh, stop it.
Is that your solution every poll?
No, no, sit down. Oh, you're a clown. Sit down. Look at you.
You're saying it's a falsehood, and they're giving Sean Spicer, our press secretary, gave alternative facts, alternative facts, alternative facts, alternative facts.
Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat your.
I ain't talking politics, I'm talking life.
I ain't talking politics, I'm talking life. I'm talking life.
All right, here we go. It's another Tuesday, another TAFE Fist Politics Tuesday, TFP. This is Van Cat, and as always, I am joined with the world's most dangerous political panel. So we're gonna say what's up to Ricardo. How you doing, Ricardo?
What's up? What's up? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, he's good.
Awesome. What's good? We're at it again for TFP. Like you said, the greatest political show on YouTube, and let's get it. Let's go.
All right, and of course, as always, the political prophet amongst men. We're talking MD20. What's going on, MD?
You better know it. Peace, peace, peace. What's going on? What's happening?
All right. And of course, Jeremy Dunbar. What's going on, Jeremy? Oh, Jeremy might be on the outside a little bit. We'll check back in with him. So last week was an explosive week, a crazy week in politics. A lot happened. Don't know if we have time for everything, but we're going to try to cover as much as we can. So the topic of today's show, episode 30, pretty much Sleepy Trump. Sleepy Trump falling asleep in the courtroom. There's been a lot of things going on surrounding his court case. We're going to focus on three aspects, three things that happened last week with the Trump court case. So let's go into the first aspect of that. And this is going to be him dozing off in court, for lack of a better word. We'll see you on the other end.
Now, Sleepy Joe would say the unemployment rate in the great state of Ohio. No, you're in South Carolina. Joe, you're in South. They come up and you ever see the guy that no, it's South Carolina. It's not Ohio. Okay. Then he goes, all right, Iowa. Did you say Iowa? No. I did that like 7 times. If I did that once, it would be the end of the road, right? Be the end of the road. They'd say Trump has lost it. They like to say that anyway, I guess, don't they?
Trump also had some problems with U.S. geography as well. During that same speech, He appeared to forget which state he was in, saying he was in Sioux Falls, which is located in South Dakota, while he was actually speaking from Sioux City, Iowa.
Well, thank you very much, and a very big hello to a place where we've done very well, Sioux Falls. Thank you very much, Sioux Falls. So Sioux City, let me ask you, how many people come from Sioux City?
I mean, Katty K, we've come to accept this from Donald Trump. He has a sort of a really, really flip relationship with the truth and facts. And I'm just speaking a fact. I'm not trying to be, I'll be accused of being nasty, but that's just the truth. If this was Joe Biden, what networks would be on a loop right now, playing it and then talking about, perhaps having then a doctor on about his mental acuity? There is such a disconnect in reality here in terms of the two front runners.
These people are bad people. Oh, Sleepy Joe. Well, he's running tomorrow. No, but could you imagine if I said just a small fraction of the mistakes he makes, which are unbelievable, every speech?
Donald Trump fell asleep in court yesterday. For all of the Sleepy Joe hiding in his basement nonsense, these absolute lies, everything that Donald Trump says, every accusation that he levels against someone else can just be turned right back around on him because he's projecting. He is the sleepy, slow-witted old man that he claims Joe Biden is.
All right, so it's day one of Donald Trump's first criminal trial, this one happening in Manhattan, New York. You will not believe what happens when this guy gets into the courtroom. This is according to Maggie Haberman at the New York Times. Trump appears to be sleeping. His head keeps dropping down and his mouth goes slack. So that we're clear, this is a guy whose entire re-election is predicated on his opponent, Joe Biden, being Sleepy Joe. Trump can't even stay awake during his own criminal trial. And by the way, if he can't stay awake during his own criminal trial, which for most of us would seem to be a momentous occasion, how's he going to stay awake if he needs to be in the Situation Room at 3 a.m.? How's he going to stay awake if a natural disaster hits an American city? Donald Trump is proving, as we speak, that he is not fit for president. He's also proving that maybe the guy needs a nap.
Are you ready to lose voters if they're convicted?
This is an assault on America. Nothing like this has ever happened before. There's never been anything like it. Every legal scholar says this case is nonsense. It should never have been brought. It doesn't deserve anything like this. There is no case, and they've said it. People that don't necessarily follow or like Donald Trump said this is an outrage that this case was brought. It's an assault on America. And that's why I'm very proud to be here. This is an assault on our country.
Yeah, I have to ask, you guys have been, at the Times, have been live blogging this event. And 40 minutes ago, you wrote an observation that I was very surprised. Trump appears to be sleeping. His head keeps dropping down and his mouth goes slack. Tell us about that.
Well, Jake, he appeared to be asleep, and repeatedly his head would fall down. There have been other moments in other trials, like the E.G. Carroll trial, which was around the corner in January, where he appeared very still and seemed as if he might be sleeping, but then he would move. This time, he didn't pay attention to a note that his lawyer Todd Blanche passed him. His jaw kept falling on his chest, and his mouth kept going slack. Now, sometimes people do fall asleep during court proceedings, but it's notable given the intensity of this morning and a lot of what was being argued.
Yeah, that's rather surprising.
Well, Jake, he appeared to be asleep.
Donald Trump keeps on falling asleep at the Manhattan District Attorney criminal trial. It is day one. The jury has now entered the courtroom, and Donald Trump keeps on falling asleep. The Manhattan District Attorney criminal trial is against Donald Trump for his falsification of business records to interfere with the results of the 2016 election. Earlier in the day, the court disposed of a number of frivolous motions that were filed by Donald Trump, including another effort by Trump and Trump's lawyers to try to recuse him, to try to recuse the presiding judge, Justice Merchan. That was rejected. Then early in the morning was the first time when Donald Trump started falling asleep. It was Maggie Haberman, who first reported, Trump appears to be sleeping, his head keeps dropping down, and his mouth goes slack. And then later in the afternoon, when the jury arrived, Donald Trump continued to fall asleep. And this had happened throughout the day. Katie Fang reported, as Judge Merchan is explaining that the burden of proof is on the prosecution and that the standard is beyond a reasonable doubt, Trump's eyes are closed. He might be thinking or sleeping, but his eyes are shut. And folks, we're not talking about his eyes being shut for just a few seconds. We're talking about his eyes being shut for several minutes, full-fledged sleeping taking place. And the jury is being instructed. For example, Justice Merchan saying things like, as a juror, you're asked to make a very important decision about another person. Justice Merchan says solemnly, as he describes, that a juror's duty and responsibility is to be fair, impartial, and unbiased. That comes from Tyler McBrien, who's in the courtroom as well. And as these proceedings are taking place, Donald Trump can't stay awake. This is an AI photo of what it may look like with Donald Trump sleeping in the courtroom. There are no cameras allowed in the courtroom, so this is a shot that probably looks fairly close to what is going down. Hashtag Sleepy Don is now trending throughout the country and throughout the world right here. And as I mentioned, hashtag Sleepy Don is trending throughout the country, and lots of people are, basically saying, of course, everything that Donald Trump does is projection and confession. He goes after President Biden, but at the end of the day, there he is, falling asleep in the courtroom.
All right. There we are, Sleepy Don. So we're going to go to Ricardo. Ricardo, what do you think about Trump's sleep escapades in the courtroom?
Yeah, it's beyond a sleep escapade at this point. It's when the kettle. What's that saying that they always say? When the kettle go calling the kettle, it turns black or something like that. Can't remember how it goes. This is
when the pot tries to call the kettle black.
There we go. Is essentially what is happening here, because if you remember, he was touting, going on and on and on about, oh, Biden is this and Biden is Sleepy Joe, and this whole thing of the ageism, and not to say that he's not too far off from where Biden's age is too. So I just find it so ironic that he's making it seem like he's like 20 years younger than Biden. But I digress. Here we are now where we have court proceedings and you're in court trying to literally fight for your absolute political rights at this point. And you're actually asleep during the proceedings. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. These court proceedings are hella boring, and they go on and on. They talk about all these stuff. But this is you fighting for your political life, and you're asleep? Sleepy Don? Yeah, I'm going to do the new hashtag. It's going to be Sleepy Don, because you really embarrassed the crap out of yourself, and you really make yourself look like the biggest fool there is at this point. And another faux pas. When you're doing a campaign trail, I don't care if it's a campaign trail or you're doing when these artists go out and they sing songs or whatnot, and they're like, shout out to Minneapolis, but you're in Chicago. Yeah, you need to know which city you're in. Like, don't be just shouting out random names. Like, it's embarrassing. How do you mix up Sioux Falls and Sioux City? Like, I don't get it. But, this is why you have people that you hire that do this kind of thing for you. Like, they are supposed to be there to tell you, hey, sir, this is what you're supposed to say. But you know what the problem with him is? He does not listen. This has always been a trait of this man since he's been in political power. He doesn't listen at all. So it wouldn't have made a difference, because he would have said all this or spew all this nonsense that you always will spew and think he will get away with it. No, it's going to show your age, sir. That's what you're literally doing right now. But continue, because again, I grab my popcorn and I'm just going to get the most stubborn butter pause out there, and I'm just going to eat my popcorn and just sit back and relax and wait until November, because I want to see there's so much more to come, and this is just the beginning. So let's get rocking with the show.
All right. Thank you, Ricardo. All right, MD. MD, what do you think about Trump's nap time?
I mean, it's not surprising. The man is 70-some years old. I mean, you know, what do we expect from this person? I mean, of course he's gonna fall asleep.
Gasp, MD. Are you saying he's an old man? For
that.
Oh my God.
That's exactly what I'm saying. I mean, I expect him to take naps throughout the day. Ain't that what old people do?
You're calling him an old fart at this point? I'm just shocked, MD. Where is your political
Hey, it is what it is, man.
But what about all those comments he made on Bush about him being low energy, on obviously Sleepy Joe with Joe Biden, Little Marco, all these things he said about all these other political rivals. I mean, every time he says something, it's really him that he puts on others.
You're right. So basically what you're saying, Van Cat, is it's a sense of projectionism in terms of trying to make light or make fun of a person when in actuality you go through pretty much the same thing. I get it.
Yep.
I can understand it. But hey, as far as I know, I ain't heard nobody talk about Biden going up and through the West Wing of the White House farting. Now, I ain't heard that.
Speaking of which, we might as well get into it. Speaking of which, this has been a story I wanted to, back in like January, actually, when we first came back for the new season. I was going to go with this. It was probably going to be the lame duck, but there was so many ducks at the time, I couldn't do it. So now it's resurfaced. Trump and his farting situation. So let's take a look at this video real quick.
So today we're here in a bipartisan fashion to show leadership in an effort to end this senseless violence. It can be ended. So today we're here in a bipartisan fashion to show leadership in an effort to end this senseless violence. It can be ended. And I'm sitting here for days now, from morning till night, in that freezing room, freezing.
While Donald Trump complains about the thermostat, his criminal trial reportedly has had an awful smell. Thanks to him.
Donald Trump is actually farting in the courtroom, and that it's very stinky around him. It's a putrid odor in the courtroom, and that Trump's lawyers are like repulsed by the scent and the smell.
According to the Midas Touch, this has happened repeatedly.
You know, we have good sources there. And I'm hearing it from actual credible people that as he's kind of falling asleep, he is actually passing gas, and that his lawyers are really struggling with the smell. I think you'll actually start to hear more of that, but real credible people who are there have saying that it's putrid around him.
You're only allowed a small amount of water when they take a shower. That's why rich people from Beverly Hills, generally speaking, don't smell so good, you know.
Months ago in California, it sounded like a joke about water restrictions. But regarding rich people not smelling so good, it's now possible Trump was projecting. According to former Republican House lawmaker Adam Kinzinger, quote, "I'm genuinely surprised how people close to Trump haven't talked about the odor. It's truly something to behold. Wear a mask if you can." For years, Trump has reportedly suffered from incontinence. In 2018, during a bipartisan meeting on gun violence, the microphones picked up the sound of Trump farting.
So today
Did you hear that? Here it is again, and watch Senator Feinstein's reaction.
So today we're here in a bipartisan fashion to show leadership in an effort to end this senseless violence. It can be ended.
Noel Kessler, a former staffer on the Trump TV show The Apprentice, recently told Midas Touch Network that the Trump incontinence and odor was a frequent issue.
He's worn diapers since probably the 90s, but I saw it firsthand in the 2000s on Celebrity Apprentice in late 2000s, and we'd have to stop the show and change him, you know, and that was Keith Schiller's job. He would take him off set, he would wipe him down. Our nickname for Keith was Wet Wipes. It's not a joke. It's happened several times.
Kastler told Midas Touch Network that one of the triggers was Trump losing his temper.
You know, one time there was the word arbitrage on a cue card, and he started screaming that the script department was setting him up. You're setting me up. And he just freaked out and then very loudly evacuated his bowels, and you could smell it, you know, and the guy who was holding the boom mic, you know, was tearing up. So that's where the nickname, the SHIT show, came from. That was the crew nickname for Celebrity Apprentice.
On the weekend before Christmas, the #1 trending story in politics was Trump smells. And naturally, the Lincoln Project got in on the action with this.
Claiming the former president smells bad.
It has a distinct smell. It's like body odor with kind of like a scented makeup product.
Donald, is that you?
So Donald Trump allegedly has an odor problem, and now he has been spewing his flatulence in court. To be clear, incontinence or any other condition is not something any of us should laugh at or mock. But Donald Trump has ridiculed countless people for their afflictions. So there is some poetic justice here.
It has a distinct smell that doesn't really get enough press. It's like body odor with kind of like a scented makeup products, but you can smell the hair products even outdoors. Don't make that face. I'm just being honest. I know.
I don't know. Maybe somebody needs to make a candle with that scent.
Yeah,
because that'll fly off the shelves. Right
off the shelves.
I'm genuinely surprised how people close to Trump haven't talked about the odor. It's truly something to behold. Wear a mask if you can. Then Donald Trump responded to that, and he had his team go after you and say, no, Kinzinger's the one who's smelly. And as Hillary Clinton said, if you could be baited by a tweet, how are you supposed to be expected to handle Vladimir Putin and other authoritarians? And Donald Trump clearly got baited by your tweet and your post. But let's just start with your post. The odor, the stench, the stink. How bad is it? What do you know about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not good. I mean, think about the best way to describe it. I've tried to take armpits, ketchup, like a butt, and kind of put it in a blender, and makeup, and put that all in a blender, and and you bottle that as a cologne. That's kind of that. But it's amazing. Like, I've been amazed that, everybody's just kind of learning about this now. But again, I think the bigger point is he's a weak human being. But look at this. He had his people respond to me on this. By the way, they're always unnamed spokesmen because none of them want to put their names, even though I think I know who's doing this. They don't want to put their names behind that because they know that their words are going to live forever. And my goodness, I think that needs to stay alive. People need to keep talking about it because he's the kind of guy that would use something like that all the time against other people. He needs a taste of his own medicine.
So today we're here in a bipartisan fashion to show leadership in an effort to end this senseless violence. It can be ended.
Andrew Weissman explains, will the court issue a non-gag order? As another reminder, Donald Trump seems to attract people like himself who do this. Here's another example kind of what I'm hearing it looks like in the courtroom. But this is an example. This is Rudy Giuliani next to Jenna Ellis.
The answer, point of order. The answer that I gave you is they didn't bother to interview a single witness. Just like you, they don't want to know the truth. Single witness. Single witness. Single witness.
But the point is, don't pass this opportunity up, because it's a golden opportunity, because these people are farting into the future. And be careful, you know, you got the solid but deadlies out there. You never know where they're coming from. But they said Rudy and Trump, they seem to announce where they are. So get your little fart sounds and mock this fat slob son of a bitch traitor, whatever the hell he is. And let's go out and win this goddamn election now. Thank you.
What's that smell?
I don't know.
Hey guys, look! What is that? It is some kind of odor.
It is foul!
It's a foul odor!
So today we're here in a bipartisan fashion to show...
So you know when you post something and then someone bigger than you, like Adam Kinzinger, confirm it? And years ago I posted about Trump being kicked out of Keen Steakhouse in Manhattan where I was eating with my father in 1983 because his smell was so offensive. This wasn't an elderly thing. It was 1983. I wouldn't make fun of Trump today if it was an elderly thing. That's not what we do on the left. It happens to elderly people. Trump wasn't elderly. We didn't complain. The table next to him complained, and the table behind him complained. We smelled it, but my father and I didn't complain about it. Trump was not elderly. The smell was so fucking offensive that they finally had to ask him to leave. And he did leave, quietly, right by us, and it wafted us. Trump's been shitting all over himself for almost 40 fucking...
There you have it, folks. We'll keep you posted each step of the way. Again, you know, it's going crazy viral.
Oh boy. All right. So there we go. You know, Donald Trump. All right. So let's go to let's go to MD. Pick up where MD left off about farting in the Oval Office.
Okay, so quick story. So I knew somebody when I was in school. I knew somebody that had incontinence, right?
Okay.
He used to take like these I'm trying to think of what, like, have you ever heard of like the silicone husk pills? Have you ever heard of those?
The silicone what?
It's a pill with like, it's like a fiber pill almost, right?
Oh, okay. Oh yeah. I know. Yeah.
Yeah, but what it's designed to do is like expand. You know what I'm saying? Like in your intestines to like move stuff along, but at the same time keep it like regular and not
right.
You know, that's what it's designed to do.
Yes.
But as a result of that, as you eat throughout the day or whatnot, the silicone husk is like blocking it. So when you fart, it's putrid. It smells real bad. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If I was to put my doctor hat on, I would say maybe that's what it is. I'm not gonna make fun of him having incontinence if that's what he has allegedly. I don't know. I'm not gonna make fun of that.
And what about the flip side about what people are saying, that here's a man that makes a living on making fun of others, calling people dogs, calling people all kind of crazy names, and making fun of handicapped reporters, and all this stuff is in his history. So you still see it that way.
And that's the issue that we face. Again, the beginning of the video clip pretty much summed it up. It's projection. That's exactly what it is. And it's sad that it's a large part of the demographic of the American society that don't see it that way. So what are we to say about those people? See, projection usually falls like dominoes in terms of like who's doing it. and this is a clear case. It's a clear case. You made a living during this campaign of proclaiming Sleepy Joe, and here you are, in which may very well be the beginning of the downfall of your life as you know it, and you sitting in the courtroom dozing off. You know what I'm saying? Not only that, you just say the hell with it. You just gonna rip it right there in the courtroom. The hell with it. And then you make an excuse, say you can't get up. It's cold. You know what I mean? Dianne Feinstein, rest her soul. That probably was the beginning of the end when you ripped it right next to her.
And another fact that I just want to say real quick. So, in the tweet that Adam Kinzinger said, saying that Trump smells, Trump had his team send out a reply, official press release, saying that Adam Kinzinger was actually the one that farted on TV. Everybody that's ran with that tried to find an instant or video or an event where Adam Kinzinger farted on TV. They could not find it. However, we've seen just in that video, Trump actually farted on TV live. So again, the projection is deep.
Not only that, he made a face to express that he was about to do it. He said, but you can hear the little faint grunt that he made before he did it. Dianne Feinstein looking like, what the hell? And Rudy Giuliani, his fart, I thought it was Pac-Man eating a pellet. Like, what the heck? I was like, what the hell kind of fart was? Hey man, at the end of the day, we all do it.
Giuliani is just ruthless with it, though. I mean, God damn.
But yeah, we all do it, but it's like, Lord, like, have some decorum, though, man. Like, you are running for presidency. You can't even fart a certain way and it doesn't come back to you. Like, it's that big of a deal. You know what I'm saying? These are the same. Lest we forget that this is the same political spectrum that had a field day or was upset when Obama wore a brown looking suit, for crying out loud, because all presidents wore black suits. God forbid they wear a different color. It's that kind of nonsense. So they're not going to give him a pass for farting. No, sirree, Bob. You must know how to hold your flatulence, and you need to know the decorum of conducting yourself in a very precise and orderly way. You can't just fart your way through as the most powerful man in the free world. Oh, no, sir, you will not. You have some respect for yourself, damn it. And you don't fart in front of Feinstein, of all people. You, God bless her soul, but her face and the grunt that she did after, I was like, yeah, it must have been very putrid, because she was like, I'm not even going to acknowledge the fart, but my acknowledgement would be my grunt. No, sirree, Bob, Mr. Orange Blob 45, you have some respect for the house that you're sitting in, that, the black people built, that, you have some respect for the White House. You do not just fart your way through. Now, if you're going to fart, you fart at your own time, not in front of the American people. Don't you dare do it. Have some respect for us.
Yep.
Or at least do it to the point where don't nobody know where it came from. You can at least have that.
Blame it on a Secret Service guy. So,
yeah.
So
you gotta train your ass to not, you know what I mean? To not do that. The silent but deadly. Sometimes, hey, look, hey, it may be 2 times the effect, but at least don't nobody know where it came from.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
So, Jeremy, are you on the panel?
Yeah, I'm here. So when your bum is leaking, you need to be seeking rocket pads. All right. It's the Don Nodder, aka Orange Glow, aka Top Carpet, aka Donald Dump. He strikes again. I'm not surprised. It's kind of funny that we're sitting here talking about farts and using the word flatulence, because flatulence is just a hilarious word. And every time I hear it, I have to hold back my giggle. But yeah, it came to him. I mean, he has, obviously done that to all kinds of people and said some horrific things. So it's coming back at him, and he's just as sleepy as Joe, so they can sleep together and nap together, tuck each other in maybe, and sing Rockabye Baby, and, you know, put their diapers on together, and they can regress back to where they're going to be, unfortunately. But they should not be in the White House, neither one of them, because clearly they are not cognitive enough to stop farting and sleeping. So that's what I got.
I guess, Mr. Jeremy, did you just say that they're one age away from wearing diapers? Did you?
No, they're there. They're there. They're both at diapers. They're both reverting back to their infant years. They definitely are. There's no doubt. They can be poop buddies together, you know.
So the internet can never be denied. So there's a video from like 3-4 years ago where apparently people knew about Trump in this manner. So somebody took some video of Trump and added some sound effects, and here we go.
It is time to drain the damn swamp. We're also going to unleash American energy, including shale oil, natural gas, It's going to be a beautiful thing to watch. Yes? Is that okay? Good. I want you to be very happy. It's very important to me.
Finally, we tonight are on the stage together, Donald Trump and I. Donald, it's good to be with you. Just turn it back to the insurance companies the way it used to be. And that means the insurance companies get to do pretty much whatever they want, including saying, look, I'm sorry, you've got diabetes, you had cancer, your child are wanted and included and part of our country. And the money is with people who've taken advantage of every single break in the tax code. And yes, when I was a senator, I did vote to close. Somebody like him should not be paying a lower tax rate than his secretary. That people like Donald who paid zero in taxes, zero for our vet, that is wrong.
You have individuals that may be missing certain information about subject or scenarios, and they have maybe the wrong information or not enough information, and they're full in on a certain way of thinking that could be destructive to themselves. I have like at least 2 stories that are going to come up. I'm going to play one now. This is a recent tragedy, really, that just happened. And all because all parties involved didn't know what the hell was really going on. But even with that in mind, one of the parties took it to the extreme. Let's take a look at this video.
Is this the old guy getting scammed? Oh man, yeah, I got so much to say about this.
All right, here we go.
We're going to turn now to the tragic story. This one out of Ohio. Deadly encounter between 2 people who did not know each other and were both victims of phone scammers. Victim 1, 81-year-old William Brock, received threatening calls last month saying his family was in danger and demanding money. And then the scammers also called an Uber driver, Lolitha Hall, to pick up a package from Brock's home. Brock then confronted her with a gun, believing that she was connected to the threats he'd been receiving, and now he is charged with Hall's murder. Lily Luciano has the story, and we have to warn you, the video is disturbing.
Lolitha Hall screamed for help as William Brock confronted her with a gun.
Yes, I know what you're after.
But as the Uber driver tried to flee, police say the 81-year-old resident shot her multiple times and and then he called 911.
Well, I shot her in the leg first time, and I shot her in the shoulder.
Why did you do that?
Because I was threatened that she was going to come and kill me.
The county sheriff's office says Brock was the subject of a scam call concerning an incarcerated relative, which turned to threats and a demand for money. Police say Hall, the driver, was also contacted either by the same scammer or an accomplice to pick up a package from Brock's residence through the Uber app.
The guy on the phone center here had Joe.
So the male on the phone was trying to get money from you, and she was knocking on the door at the same time?
Yes, and he was telling me he was going to kill me and the family and everybody else around.
Hall, who was 61, died from her injuries in the hospital. Police say she made no threats or assaults towards Brock before the shooting, other than to ask about the package she was sent to retrieve. They also say Brock took her cell phone and refused to let her leave. Last week, Brock was charged with felony murder, and now he could face 15 years to life behind bars, plus a $15,000 fine. He has pleaded not guilty.
What does the prosecution need to prove in this case?
That Brock knew he was using deadly force, and what the prosecution is going to say is there is just no reason to shoot 3 times when somebody is trying to leave your property. If somebody is trying to flee, almost by definition, they are no longer posing a threat.
Uber says it has banned the account of the person who ordered Hall's trip and has been in touch with both her family and Clark County law enforcement. It's hard to know if the alleged scammers will be held liable for Hall's death. Is something that I asked Jessica Levinson. She says it's not clear that they could have predicted that the ruse would lead to this horribly deadly, tragic outcome.
That video, every time I see that video, I saw it yesterday, it's heartbreaking. You can see the fear on her face.
And hear it.
She has bad information. He has bad information. He's amped up and scared. She doesn't know what the hell is happening. The guy comes out with a gun. It's so heartbreaking.
Tragic, and we'll just see how the prosecution and how the defense, what they can claim, whether they can use the castle doctrine because it was outside of the house.
Scammers are definitely liable in my mind.
Tony.
I mean, they're the ones that put those two people in that situation.
The case that has horrified this nation. We're learning more tonight after those awful images of a homeowner with a gun who then shot and killed a 61-year-old Uber driver. Police say the homeowner had been called by scammers. They say the Uber driver was unknowingly sent by scammers too. Tonight, you will hear what happens when the alleged scammer then calls the house while authorities are there. Here's Alex Perez.
Tonight, they are the deeply unsettling images that have horrified the country. The Ohio homeowner pointing his gun at a 61-year-old Uber driver who was simply there, authorities say, to pick up a package. Investigators say the homeowner had been duped by scammers who called him, and he thought the driver was in on it. But she had no idea what she was walking into. Tonight, the new and difficult images of what played out after he shot and killed her. 81-year-old William Brock, seen moments after he shot 61-year-old Lolitha Hall, telling Clark County deputies he had received a call from someone demanding $12,000 for bail money for a relative of his. It was a scam.
I've been on this phone for a couple hours with this guy trying to say he had a nephew in jail and had a wreck in Charleston and just kept hanging on and needing bond money, and this woman was supposed to.
Authorities believe the same scammers targeted the Uber driver through the app, hiring her to pick up a package from Brock's home without telling her what they told him. That unsuspecting Uber driver was instead confronted at gunpoint. She attempts to get in her car to get to safety, but the homeowner prevents her from leaving, shooting her 3 times, then calling 911. She died from her injuries. In this newly released video tonight, you can hear a man believed to be the scammer calling the home again, right while investigators were there.
May I ask who I'm talking to?
Yes, this is the officer speaking.
Okay, what officer?
Yes.
No, I need to know what officer, sir.
You're going to be in trouble.
Okay. Let me ask you this. The female you sent over here, you know who she is?
Yes, I do.
Okay, well, she's been in an accident. And this is actually an officer. It's Detective Cruz with the Clark County Sheriff's Office.
And David, during that exchange, the alleged scammer agreed to meet with authorities but never showed up. They have not been caught. Brock, who's been charged with murder, has pleaded not guilty.
Yeah. So I'm not going to be the one that's saying that it's unfortunate for both parties, I'm not going to do that. Based on the fact that this man stalked and then maliciously killed that woman, point blank, period. I don't care what the circumstances were prior to that. He stalked that woman, is what he did. I've been hearing, and X is a cesspool at this point. You know, it used to be my most favorite social media conduit. Now, hell, Twitter is like the dark web now. Unfortunately, since Elon Musk has bought it, you got all these people talking about, you know, castle doctrine. Yeah, you know, it's unfortunate for her, but legally, he wasn't. Anybody knows what the castle doctrine is. The castle doctrine is only acceptable when there's forcible entry into your house, which there was not. The lady knocked on the door, and then you first falsely imprisoned the woman by taking possessions that she had and not letting her go. Then you shot in the leg, then you stalked her, and then you gave the killing blow. This man deserved to die in jail for the little remaining couple of days that he got left. Not around friends nor family when he passed away. Point blank, period. I don't care what the situation is. Even if they had ill intent on whatever situation that they had going, you can't maliciously kill somebody. You can't do it. And that's exactly what he did. So to hell with him and being sympathetic with him, he did what he did. He deserves to die in prison. And that's just what it is. Now the people that was trying to set forth the scam, ain't no telling where they at. And that's another issue. We got all these intel capabilities. Just talked about FISA last week. Why not expand FISA to these damn scammers in New Delhi and all these places? Why not expand it to that? If y'all truly cared about the security of the American people, expand the Federal Intel Security Act to these damn scammers talking about PayPal and Cash App and all of that. Expand it. It's ridiculous at this point what these scammers are. Hell, you can essentially say are being given the green light to do. It's ridiculous. So nip it in the bud and federally charge these people that's doing it. Put their ass in Guantanamo Bay if you need to. So I'm over it. I don't show any remorse to this old ass man for doing what he did because it was under malicious intent. Point blank, period. He need to go to jail and die. And that's all I say.
I can't agree with MD anymore on that one, man. It's 100% on point. Ricardo, what you think about this situation?
I also echo MD's sentiments. Watching the video was very hard, very, very distressing and hard to watch because if you take note, she had fear in her reaction when she saw him pull out the gun. Now, I don't know, and calling me very dunce here when it comes to carrying a weapon, but this man literally said, you know, after you shot her 3 times, you then not only stop her from leaving the first time, you shot her 3 times, and then you call the police after. This seems very like if I and I'm gonna go, I know I shouldn't be doing this, delving into it. It seems like this is something that he thought he was gonna get away with by just like using, you know, and I hate to use that term, I am such and such card. You can't do that, sir. That's just irresponsible behavior. Not only is this woman 61, she's just almost as old as you are. So make it make sense to me. What harm was she going to be doing to you when she showed up to your house and said she had a package? Again, in the newsreel, the same thing I said, the same thing is what the newscaster mentioned. If the person is leaving the vicinity of your property, why on earth would you still be trying to shoot? They're leaving, they're fleeing. But then again, I mean, like there's so many spectrums that you could look at, different observable aspects that you could look at in terms of how this all panned out. But again, she is just as old as he was, and I'm not saying that she's old, frail, old. But Lord, what is this woman gonna do to you, sir? Like you took out the gun and shot her. Not only did you shoot her in the foot, you said you shot her in her shoulder 3 times. That's a bit excessive. I can understand you shooting once. I'm praying to God. I hope people are, being more responsible when it comes to certain things. This is not a joke. Like scamming and swatting and all of that. There's a time and place for it. But when people are going to lose their lives over irresponsibility, that's when we're going to have to start making laws and putting them in place so it doesn't get out of hand and get escalated to this point where an innocent lady who is in her 60s lose her life, trying to do her job. Like she should not even been in that situation. But here we are talking about it now. It's just sad all around, man. Just disgraceful. But here we're bringing light to the story and the situation. So here we are.
Yet again, I say this heavy-hearted. My heart and prayers go out to that woman's family. To lose a loved one, a grandmother, I'm sure, a mother, maybe a sister. It's maybe an aunt to people. The humanity is gone. The value of life is gone from the society. And that old man, I agree 100% with both MD and Ricardo, should be in prison. And he should stay his remaining days there. He clearly did it with no remorse. He clearly did it intentionally. He was calm, cool, and collective. This is what happens when you have a deterioration of the mind, a deterioration of value for life. And this is what we see routinely. I mean, an older person, though, 2 older people is surprising. I'm not going to lie. That's surprising because they were raised differently than most of us, at least in these generations. So you would think that they have an appreciation for life, but then again, can we really be shocked anymore? The scammers, rotten people. If they would, use that creativity to benefit people rather than take advantage of people, just imagine how far they would get. I say that about everyone who is in that, but that's for a whole nother topic in itself. 2 older people, and the fear that was in this poor woman's voice and just the look of sheer terror. It's 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 so disheartening.
Jesus. All right. Well, all right. So I have a few things I want to say. I'm gonna try to make it really quick. Number one, I watch all of the time on YouTube. Anyone out there listening, you can look it up yourself. There are people who are so good at computers that they catch the scammers. They go in the computer, they actually find out information on the scammers, regardless of what country they're in. If these people can do it, the government can do it. The government doesn't care because old white people don't care. And now I know that might have sounded racist or might have sounded a little prejudiced. It's not. If you know anything about this government, it only moves when old white people move because old white people vote. So the second old white people come together and they decide this is going to be something, it'll be something. So we need to rally those the old whites that have the MAGA hats and the old whites that don't have the MAGA hats. Get them together, tell them that they're coming after their pension, and maybe they'll do something. That's one topic. Number two, I believe it was Jeremy who said that they were from a different time and he didn't understand. And I do. That man came from a time where Negroes knew their place. And you don't walk up in my house, come to my door acting like you're gonna tell me what to do when you're gonna blah 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 blah. I got my 6-shooter and I'll put a darkie down. That's what happened. That's what he did. I don't know if he was racist, but I know he had no problem waving a gun at a black woman and shot her dead and then called the police. That tells me a lot. Number three, I'm sorry. I was born in the 80s, okay? I remember hearing people say, oh, she only stole a bag of chips because she had to feed her kid. Or the old homeless guy, he just stole a can of cat food because he wanted to feed his cat. And I heard people go, well, it's against the law. I don't know what to tell you. You got to go to jail. Where the hell did all this leniency come from in this country? This country that's so happy to put people in jail, that's so happy to throw away the key, that's so happy to, what, he's 15? That Negro lifts weights. He's got to be an adult. Try him as an adult. Like, I don't understand where all this sympathy is coming from this old man. Like, I don't understand how people are, oh, well, he's old. We should just, no.
Oh,
Throw his ass in jail. Let
Exactly.
him get that pressure that everybody get. Let him get those raccoon eyes, if you know what that means. I'm not gonna tell you, go look it up yourself. Let him feel that pressure. Because I guarantee you, he go to jail and he start finding out what a real scammer look like, he gonna change his attitude. And if he don't, he gonna be somebody's girlfriend. He ain't gonna care anymore. He gonna be worrying about chapstick and mixing chapstick with Kool-Aid to keep his lips perky and colorful. So throw his ass in jail, throw away the key, throw him in there with all the white collar crime, the blue collar crime, where they all belong. I don't want to hear this sympathy. Where the hell did this come from? They have kids in jail for dating a girl when he was 16 and she was 14, and then they dated for 2 years, and then the parent didn't like him, so he got thrown in jail. If that could happen to him, why the hell should I care about a man that shot an old lady? Get your ass in jail, sit down, cry for PC, and I hope the dudes at PC take a piece of your booty too. That's how I feel, point blank, period. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Extraordinaire.
I really want to see what the panel has to say about this one.
A 60-year-old man is going to prison after he shot his wife in the head outside their home in Spring, Texas. Carrie Birmingham was seen on video talking to his wife, Patricia Birmingham, who went by the name Richie.
You really want this on video?
I'll pull it. I'm mad enough to just pull it. Okay. All right, goodbye, Reese.
This man fatally shot his wife, but was sentenced to only 10 years in prison. Now there's anger at the all-female jury. We warn you, this video is intense.
It's a chilling moment as a husband driven mad with jealousy stands in his driveway. 60-year-old Carrie Birmingham is wearing only a robe, and that shotgun he's holding, it's aimed right at his wife, Patricia.
You really want this on video?
I'll pull it. I'm mad enough to just pull it.
Your neighbors are going to see you pointing a gun at me.
All right, goodbye, Reese. You gonna meet Jesus.
And with that, he pulls the trigger, shooting Patricia 3 times in the face.
Hope it was worth it.
The evidence was rock solid. After all, every moment of the murder outside Houston was captured on video. Birmingham pled guilty. The motive for shooting his wife? He says he was in a state of rage because he had learned his wife was allegedly having an affair. But her family says that's simply not true.
The harrowing video, which also shows Birmingham saying, "You're going to meet Jesus, and I hope it was worth it, and I'm done, I'm effing done," was shown to an all-female jury last week. According to Birmingham's defense team, the couple had been arguing after Birmingham reportedly discovered his wife was having an affair. The argument spilled out into the driveway, with Birmingham standing in his bathrobe and cocking a gun. The jury ended up sentencing Birmingham to 10 years in prison. He's going to be up for parole in 5 years.
The defense wasn't about justification. It was about why he did what he did.
The evidence was presented to the 12-member jury, which, and this rarely happens, consisted entirely of women. In a surprising turn, they allegedly sympathized with the wife killer, sentencing him to 10 years instead of the 20 years prosecutors wanted. Jury consultant Joellen Demetrius.
What this says to me about the all-female jury is that they clearly heard and saw something in that video that made them feel sorry for Mr. Birmingham, whatever that may have been.
The slain woman's sister, Mary Dees, says the family was shocked at the jury's decision.
I believe that they were judging my sister, that my sister did not beg for her life, and she stood strong against a man that supposedly loved her for 20 years and, killed her, executed her.
As for the affair allegation,
he claimed it was in his head that my sister was cheating on him, and they took the computers, they took the phones, and there's no proof of that ever happening.
We also spoke to the couple's 18-year-old daughter, Olivia.
My love for my dad died that day. Even if he's still alive, it's when I look at him, it's not the same person. And of course, you know, he took my mom.
Birmingham will be eligible for parole in 5 years.
The way it works in Texas, Jesse, is that it is a two-tiered jury trial system. The first tier is going to be guilt innocence, and the second tier is going to be the punishment phase of trial. The unique thing about Texas is that a jury can decide both phases of a trial. They can determine both guilt, innocence, and then punishment. So here, as if you've seen the video, it's obviously very overwhelming evidence. And so our strategy was to plead guilty directly to the jury and then have the jury assess punishment in this case. And one of the defenses, or the way that the law works in Texas, is that it allows for a reduction in punishment if the jury finds that the crime was committed out of sudden passion due to adequate cause. And so we felt that based on the circumstances and facts in this case that surrounded Carrie Birmingham's actions that day, that that was the best way to argue on behalf of our client.
And Dan, walk us through what the theory was about what happened. He immediately confronted his wife. He just found out what had happened, because I think that timing is important.
Yeah. So he had heard from a mutual friend of theirs who had come into town to visit with him that weekend that his wife had been unfaithful, that she had been in an affair, in a relationship with a fella out of the country, and he didn't confront. That was on Sunday. He didn't confront his wife until the following morning, and once she confirmed, in essence, that she had had this relationship, that's when he, was fully informed and sort of flew off the handle, for lack of a better description. It is the defense burden at a punishment hearing to show by a preponderance of the evidence that the conduct happened as a result of sudden passion arising from an adequate cause. And we believed that the evidence was pretty clear that that is why what happened. I mean, our focus was on why and not what. And once the jury heard the facts, not only from several of the arresting officers, they heard an audio tape that Reese had secretly recorded where, this is a husband and wife saying the worst possible things about each other. I mean, just you name it, they said it. She attacked his ability to perform sexually. She attacked his ability to provide financially, which are the two best ways to upset any man I know. And unfortunately, this argument that was recorded on audio tape by Reese served as the foundation for the argument that it was sudden passion arising from an adequate cause. So that's a long way of saying, look, I thought the evidence was clear. I thought that was the right result for the jury to find sudden passion. And I wasn't really surprised by the verdict. The state certainly was. There were others in the courtroom that were. But after my argument, I felt very strongly that the jury was going to do what I believed to be the right thing, and they did.
And Anthony, that's my question. What is your response to the people who say he killed his wife? He took a life. He could be out in 5 years. Is that justice? Is that fair? What would be your response to those people?
Well, my response would be that the law provides in the state of Texas that if the evidence establishes that a crime was committed out of sudden passion, it reduces the punishment range from 5 years to life in prison to a second degree. And so the maximum punishment that Carrie Birmingham was facing once the jury found he'd acted in sudden passion was 20 years. And so under the law, it's the appropriate verdict by the jury. And it's exactly what Dan asked them to do. He said, look, if you feel that he needs to be penalized, then give him 10 years. And that's what they did. So we feel that they followed the law, they applied the facts to the law, and they came to the right result.
All right. So there we go. This is a crazy story here. Of course, this is a story that happened in Texas. And this is with Texas laws, which is going to be a little different.
AV, let me rock.
Yeah, I got you.
Thanks.
So what do you think here, formerly known as others? What do you think?
Thank you, sir. All right, so I'm going to You get a lot of people that disagree with me. I'm gonna get people who think I'm out of my mind, which is fine because that's how I roll. Um, I've seen this case. I believe the rumor is she stole 120 grand from him and gave it to her lover or something, and he found out. I This is just the rumor. I'm not saying it happened. I'm saying that's what the rumor is. But what is factual is the audio tape of her saying the most vicious, vile things that a woman can say to a guy. Now, none of this justifies murdering somebody. But in the words of one of our greatest comedic philosophers, I ain't saying he should have killed her, but I understand. I would not have shot a woman who did that to me. I would have left. But I've also not been married to someone for a large chunk of my life and had that person utterly disrespect me to the floor. Because you can't tell me that that man standing in that video with what looks like his penis flapping out and his shirt open and belly just in the wind holding the shotgun drunkenly staggering back and forth, you can't tell me that man was in his right mind. Now, Texas has their own loose laws. They do what they do, and they're fine with how things turn out. In the words of MD, that's what the law say. That's what happened.
No, my brother. Don't implicate
Hey,
me in that.
that's what you
Because
say. I'm just using your
you
words against you, sir.
and I say that you're 100% right. But I'm gonna let you rock. Van Cat,
Thank you.
let me retort. Let me retort after he finished because he killed himself. Let me retort.
You can say, first of all, I never kill myself. I am way too pretty to murder this beautifulness. It would never happen.
Go ahead. Go
That's
ahead.
one.
Finish your thought, sir. Finish your
Number
thought.
two, I couldn't have killed myself because all I did was state facts. Nothing I said is not factual. Those were the laws of Texas. That's what they decided. People from Texas who live and reside in Texas were okay with those laws because they still have to vote on them. They voted those people in. They vote on the laws that need to be voted on, and the people that make the laws are the people that they want to represent them. Their laws are different. They're the state that changes the textbooks for everybody else because they're so big that when they buy it and they say, hey, I want this textbook to say slavery was a choice, they have to put slavery as a choice. That's what Texas does. So if that's what Texas does and that's cool in Texas, there's nothing I can say. Just like when the world goes, oh, shoot, it was a Florida man. Florida man did this and Florida man did that. I can't cry about it because I live in Florida. I vote in Florida. So that's what the Florida, if that they let Florida man run wild, ain't nothing I can complain to say about it. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying this is why I tell women, and this is for Man Talk Monday on Mondays. This is where I tell women, you do not go back and forth with a man. You do not. A man being disrespected by a woman, there's a extra notch. There's an extra turn up. There's an extra feeling of pain that you feel because you can't hit this person. And when that line gets crossed where you decide, man, to hell with it, I don't care. It's going to come out vicious. You do, and if you watch the video, she wasn't saying, huh, please. She was like, you punk ass, you ain't gonna do nothing. You did what? What, you gonna shoot me now? What, you gonna shoot me now? Once again, I will repeat, I'm not saying he should have killed her. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying she should not have put herself in that position. Just like I tell men, if you're in a position where it's you and another person, it looks like you're getting into violence. If you're not a violent person, if you ain't about that life, extricate yourself. Just like I tell my female friends. If you're matter of fact, we were talking about the people in Chicago, right? You remember Twin? When the lady was arguing with the guy, and then her son came in and shot the guy after the dude punched her.
And that.
I've been saying this my whole life. Women do not need to be arguing with men. It doesn't make sense. Go get your brother, go get your father, go get someone else. A man's aura will change. Now, I understand people love to say feelings, emotions, and feel cool. If you say feelings, emotions, then it goes the other direction. If she can be feeling her emotions where she wants to rage against him, he gets to have that as a defense for the dumb stuff that he did. And that's in the law. Feelings, emotions, he acted a way he would say, I normally would never, but she touched this part of me that made my feelings react. That's what he used to get over. That's what worked. And he won. He got 10 years instead of life. Don't complain to me. Make better choices. Same thing I said about Homeboy in the last thing. Make better choices. He made the choice to shoot that woman. She made the choice to egg this man on. Who am I to say anything? I'm not a police officer, even though I know the law pretty well, and I'm not a judge, and I'm not in the jury. You can't tell me it's a misogyny. You can't blame misogyny when it was a jury full of women.
Killed yourself again.
Say, okay, kill me all you want. You can't blame misogyny if you're gonna be like, well, they were raised in a misogynist. No, I don't want to hear that. There's no such thing as misogyny because the only people that benefited were the elite men. Regular men had it just as crappy. So it makes no sense. But I digress. I'm gonna hang around a little bit because I want to hear MD kill me. Please, sir, as I open my shirt and draw a bullseye. Please kill me.
All right, MD.
I ain't have to do it. You did it under your own volition.
I ain't no vampire. I'm still talking. I'm here.
Hey, listen. This is what happens when you instill low-level collective thought. This is dangerous, folks. Everything Mike just said was very, very dangerous. Now, on the one hand, he said he understood the law and you can't blame nobody else because the law is the law and it said what it said.
Facts.
The law said, based on this case, and I too also saw the details of the case involving the money and them talking back and forth with each other. No question about it, 100% factual. Based on what they sentenced him with, they base it on the crime of passion. From the classical French term, crime passionnel, right? That's voluntary. That's voluntary manslaughter at the end of the day. That's what the jury focused on. What's voluntary manslaughter? Why was it a crime of passion? Crime of passion clearly says that you did something and you didn't have time to react based on the emotion that you had at a particular time from shock. So basically what it's saying is, in a moment of shock, giving an example, you don't know nothing about nothing. You walk in with your wife sleeping with another dude and you blow both of their head off. Crime of passion. Didn't have time to react. Emotions took over. Now, Mike, you just said that throughout the course of weeks, conversations were being taped with them talking bad about one another. The money situation happened weeks before this even happened. Show me where the crime of passion was at. Where was the time that he didn't have time to react?
Oh, I'll gladly tell you. It was the 2 nights before when the friend told him, no, a night and a half before when the friend told him that there is proof that she's cheating on you. And then the night of drunken drinking that he did that led up to this morning of him coming out with the gun.
So he did have time to react.
No, sir. The law states heat of the moment or when you react emotionally or passionately. Look the law.
So he I know exactly what the law say. Heat of the moment is not a day and a half.
I said heat of the moment or reacting emotionally and passionately. I'd be leaning towards the latter kind, sir.
Vancat.
Yes, sir.
I need you to go right now and look up crime of passion Texas law in the Texas code right now.
Okay.
Stat.
Yo, this is Grey's Anatomy?
Not stat.
If we're gonna do legal, let's do it.
Hey, the Texas Penal Code 19.02A2 defines passion as passion directly caused by and arising out of provocation by the individual killed or other acting with the person killed with passion arising at the time of the offense. Like her telling him, your dick don't work, you're a piece of crap, yeah, I got a man, you ain't gonna shoot me, do something.
I didn't hear her say any of that in that video.
Sir,
but I digress.
You need to go listen to the video, sir. She was telling
I heard the audio tape where they was
That was the
talking
night
amongst
before.
one another.
I'm talking about when he has the gun. She's popping her stuff when he has the gun.
So he pulled the gun
He was
initially,
talking
and then she
smack.
started. Okay, she was
Thank you,
talking
Jeremy.
smack. Was that before or after he pulled the shotgun?
The shotgun is already out, and she's already talking before the video starts. She was talking before and when the video starts and when the video ends. The only thing that stopped her from talking was a buckshot.
So was he inebriated during that process? Like
he looked. I can't.
Yeah, he was drunk as hell.
He looked gone.
But that ain't got nothing to do with a crime of passion. It ain't got nothing to do with it.
Yeah,
I'm just telling. I think it does because alcohol lowers your inhibitions and it makes the crime of passion easier.
It heightens your emotions for sure.
Yeah.
So
it makes you faster to flip.
So that gives you a green light, ladies and gentlemen. But before you get the need to end somebody's life, go get drunk first. That'll ease your sentencing.
No, sir. Before you do that, make sure you're in Texas. You got to say the whole thing. Make sure you're in Texas. Then get drunk. Then make sure the person popping it's got to be the right thing. Make sure she's popping off real good, and $100 grand of your money is gone, and she done said your Jimmy don't work. Let that side go.
I'll end with this, Van Cat. Everything Mike just said is based on low-level collective thought. What Mike was doing was gender babbling, folks. He was gender babbling. and what
gender babbling.
what that all-female jury did was go off of the aspect of what the low-level collective thought is based on what the allegations were what that woman just did. They didn't have the fortitude to look at the case in and of itself when it deals with the crime. They chose to go off of something that's 100% in law based on an emotional tendency of what the collective says is right and wrong.
And ladies
that's
and gentlemen,
the problem. That's the problem.
This is the most hilarious thing I've ever heard. MD is the last person to tell us that somebody should go against what the law states. That's one. And number two, ladies, if you're listening, just know MD was mansplaining to you, telling you that as women, you're not smart enough to make a decision on your own. You had to have the male other thinking because you can't think on your own. 12 of you can't sit in a room and come to a consensus that you believe in. It had to be influenced by men because you don't know any better. That's dangerous, MD. That's dangerous. I think
they had to be influenced of a certain societal issue based on what men think. Of course.
Sir, once again, society is impacted by men and women and men raised by women. So I don't understand what you're talking about. We don't run society. Again. We don't run society. Men don't. Can you go outside and say something and make it happen? You're going to go outside and kick a trash can and have the person call the police and you tell them, I'm a man. What are you doing? And watch them shoot you. Men don't run anything. There's no such thing as a patriarchy. There are elite men.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
I know,
I never said patriarchy.
You're leaning toward it by saying they had to be influenced by some men somehow. No. Rich, elite men influence the world, just like they always have. Regular, dudes, we don't do nothing. Nothing when it comes to that. There's no.
Hey, Van Cat, I'm gonna ask a question. I'm gonna ask a question, and I'm done. Okay. What was that man shooting that woman in impulse? Yes or no?
For me,
I'm asking you.
Yeah, for me, I don't think that's an impulse. I don't.
But guess what? There's 12 people who don't agree with you, Van Cat, and they run this thing called a jury.
I know. I hear you. I hear you loud and clear on that.
And I'm gonna shut up right after this. I promise. I'm not saying he was right. I'm taking the position that MD takes all the time. That the law states something and they went by the law.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious to me how the first person to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about is MD. I want this recorded. I want this recorded. So the next time MD do it, I'm just gonna say April 23rd, 8/25.
there's a few things that just kind of crazy to me. Like, well, they're saying that within 5 years he'll be up for parole, but he'll never get that parole within 5 years. That's not going to happen.
I agree.
So, so it'll probably take a few cycles before he can even get to that point. But even with that being said, they were aiming for 20 years, and I'm thinking to myself, 20 years is not a long time in reality situation. So you just killed a person. So now you have people that can say, hey, I can just stage this to get rid of that guy or girl that I don't really like. And if I'm willing to take the time, it's worth it in my mind. I mean, it's like the trade-off of the human life versus the time that's being given is kind of crazy to me. So it just doesn't feel like real punishment. And now you're going to have that person come back into society who says they ain't get worse. Tupac said when he went to jail, he got worse.
Yeah, that's what happens.
He was charged.
That says 20 years is no longer life.
Yeah, Vancat, he was charged initially with murder.
Mm-hmm.
Murder. That's what he was charged with.
Right.
He pled guilty to said charge. Then the jury, because based on Texas statutes, the jury lays down the sentence. The jury then downgraded said charge based on the sentencing of 10 years in voluntary manslaughter. That's what the jury did. The judge didn't do that. The cops who charged that, and that's what I'm saying. You can't sit up here and tell me that that sentence wasn't based on influence of what they believed from an emotional aspect, what was going on, and that's false. That's my whole point of saying what I was saying.
Right.
False.
I'm gonna go ahead and say I did. Yeah, I'm gonna say that.
And you're wrong.
I'm totally correct. And guess what? I can prove it because Mike is right.
Yeah, so those women on the jury, like, why did it even come to an all women jury? Why was that?
Yeah, that's
the thing that had to happen for this particular trial.
Right. And that's just funny, odd, especially in Texas, an all women's jury. That I've never heard that in quite some time. But
can I respond to that and then get out of here? I feel like I'm taking up way too much time.
No, you're not. Go ahead.
I personally feel like there is a weird thing in society where people think women are a monolith. Women are not. Okay? We need to get past this. I know I come on and I say all the time, women just be talking, right? And they do, because I just had a situation today. I'll tell you about it later, Twin. Women just be talking, right? And that's a fact. But women do not believe the same thing. When I tell you that 90% of the people I knew that hated Hillary Clinton running for president were women. 90% of people I debated that thought it was disgusting that she was going to be president were women.
I agree.
Nobody hates like self. You know how they say nobody hates like family? Nobody hates like self because they know you better than others. Women hate women more than men.
Yep.
Okay?
That's a fact.
So they put all these women on the jury, had the public policy the public look that, oh, well, we're being progressive. I know we're Texas, but look, we got a whole bunch of dames. Women. We got women on the stage. Look at that. And them women, but they forgot, the world forgot, them Texas women. They ain't regular women, them Texas women. They think just like Texas men, and their grandparents were standing right next to their grandmothers were standing right next to their grandparents while they were cutting ears off of people hanging from trees. That's the same people.
Vancat, make sure you record that one section from Mike. He just killed himself again. Because he just admitted everything I just said.
Vancat, make sure you record the end with me still talking and obviously not being dead.
The thing, what Mike is saying, it's plausible and I understand it. It's like, I feel like the women looked at him as them. And I think she came off as like a guy that cheated on them.
There you go.
And that's what happened.
Very
so
good
like
point.
that's the worst thing that you could do is have a bunch of women that's going to be inclined to think like that on a trial. So that's not an objective jury at all.
And you said the words right out of my mouth. I was like seeing to myself, like, listen to the whole thing. I was like, that sounds like it was like they felt like he was like kind of like them. And I was like, okay, well, that's interesting because it's very rare you ever see that ever happen. And I think that's the whole point that, you know, was matriculated. I just find it very strange, though, that was what they got out of the trial and that they gave him the least amount because of that. I just found that very fascinating. I don't know why, but it just seems unheard of, but I digress. It's not too far-fetched, but especially in the state of Texas, it says a lot. I don't know why. Considering the political climate of what we know now with Roe v. Wade and all of that, and women's rights, I find it very fascinating with an all-women jury that they gave him the least amount of time on account of they felt sympathetic towards the man because of the whole cheating allegation and how he could have went on that rampage and how he ended up killing her because of that. I don't know. I don't know.
It's called scorned women. It's called scorned.
Ricardo. He shot the woman in the face with a shotgun. After that, he shot her twice again while she was on the ground.
And
what is that called?
To make sure she's gone. That's called a Terminator. That's what that's called.
Murder.
That's a T-101 model, 1984.
Yeah.
T-1000. Oh yeah.
Hey, she was from Orlando, Florida. She wasn't no Texan. You think they was gonna care about her?
That's crazy. Yeah.
Oh man. So this next segment we want to go into update on the Israel situation. So let's go to that right now.
Pressure is growing against Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu from all sides. The Biden administration is set to impose sanctions on a unit of the Israeli military accused of human rights violations in the occupied West Bank. Netanyahu on Sunday saying he will fight the sanctions with all his strength, while inside Israel, people increasingly want him gone.
He's a disgrace to the human and the Jewish people around the world and Israel.
Netanyahu faces corruption charges, and protesters claim staying in power and out of court is his main priority. He says the charges are politically motivated.
Protests like these are now happening every week, and they're growing, calling for new elections and for Netanyahu to step down.
Why? Multiple reasons. Israel had a massive intelligence failure on October 7th and was slow to respond to Hamas's massacre of 1,200 people. More than 130 hostages remain in Gaza. Israel and Iran were in an unprecedented shooting war last week that nearly spun out of control. And Israel's reputation is taking a beating as protesters around the world are accusing the nation founded after the Holocaust of genocide against Palestinians, an accusation the Israeli government vehemently rejects. And now Israeli strikes are intensifying in Gaza again, in and around Rafah, where more than 1 million Palestinians are sheltering. Israel says Hamas is hiding among the civilians. Officials say dozens of Palestinians were killed, including the Judah family. But in a medical miracle, doctors rescued the baby, who survived.
يعني تقريبا طيب لكن وضعه صعب لانه العمر تبعه في بطن امه. ايوه يلا شيل الهدية يلا يلا معاك شيل صديق كويس
عين الحمد لله.
كان مثلا سيارات لا ولا حاجه ولا عايش ولا شيء لا كان سيارات كان مربين بك كان نفس كان بيتحرك شويه لا ولا حاجه بس مزيد تروح هذا المخفف ده ماشي يعني ولا حاجه ولا
The head of Israel's military intelligence unit has resigned for failing to prevent the Hamas terror attack on October the 7th, in which 1,200 people were killed and 250 others were kidnapped. Major General Aaron Haliva is the first senior Israeli figure to step down over the attack. Haliva said that under his command, the intelligence directorate did not live up to its task. His decision to step down could set the stage for more resignations among Israel's top security personnel.
We know that Haliva accepted responsibility already in around about a week after the attack initially took place back in October. And several other significant officials also took responsibility, including Yoav Gallant, the defence minister, though nobody stepping down, of course, until today. The one person that didn't take any responsibility at that time was the Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu. Now, in his resignation speech, General Haliva said the intelligence division did not live up to the task that we were entrusted with. And we certainly know now in the aftermath of that attack on October 7 that there were major failures in intelligence. We know that up to a year before that attack in October, intelligence officials were made aware. They had found a document that detailed much of what actually happened. It turned out to actually happen in the attack. And we know that spotters who were stationed to watch over much of Gaza were in fact calling the alarm, saying that they'd seen unusual activity, that they'd seen drills being carried out by Hamas battalions, and that they were worried indeed that there would be an imminent attack. But intelligence officials basically battered those fears away, saying that Hamas had no interest in carrying out an attack. They didn't believe that they had the capability to do so, and in fact that they were more interested in governing Gaza. That was certainly the opinion of not just the military but also the government, listening to that advice from the military. So as I mentioned, he already accepted some fault way back in October, and now he is living up to that and standing down as intelligence chief for the military. He's also called for an investigation into the wrongdoings and into the failures of the military, the intelligence, and indeed the government, but that so far hasn't been undertaken by Prime Minister Netanyahu.
Seen the first resignation of a top Israeli military official over Hamas's October 7th attack. An Israeli military unit of ultra-Orthodox soldiers may be sanctioned under the Leahy Act that bars U.S. aid going towards military units that are involved in human rights abuses. Hasn't happened yet, but right now there's enough Israeli officials and others commenting, suggesting that their move may be coming soon and further strain that relationship as Israel continues to weigh a potential ground offensive in Rafah, that city in southern Gaza where so many people are, and as 34,000 Palestinians are already dead in this conflict.
What do you think of the situation in Israel?
Well, it's very unfortunate, considering, what we're privy to in terms of, again, the propaganda machine that's been coming from there. We weren't able to touch on it, I think, the 2 previous weeks, but there was a situation where that same Israeli army that they're now going to be levying a lot of, towards them, because they've done a lot of, things that we haven't discussed. There was a group of 8, I think, I think they were with, don't quote me, I think it was with the United Nations, 8, it wasn't servicemen, but they volunteered their time, and they were killed in Israel, in the Gaza region. And it was one of the catalysts of why we see this whole, protests from a barrage of people. I think it was one person from Poland, a couple people from the United States, a couple people from different variations of around the world. When you kill innocent, people who come in to actually aid in terms of like the United the United Nations or the Red Cross or something, that is a call or a sign of concern to not only people who are, watching from the sides. That's when he really stepped into it. And Netanyahu is still, to this very moment, is defiant. And that's a concern for me, because enough is enough. Like, we get it. Like, and again, I said this from the get-go, from October. It's basically Netanyahu trying to go on a, I would say, like a freeman's march, because he knows all of this is going to come back to him. So he is really, when I say corrupt, he's beyond corrupt at this point, and he knows it. There's a lot of stuff that he's doing behind closed doors that he's not supposed to be doing. And then he's getting us all caught up in this masquerade of nonsense. At some point in time, I need Biden, or I need the administration to say, listen, we're going to put the gauntlet down. And this time if you even do another stupid move again, that's it. We're going to cut you off. This is getting to that point now, but I digress.
All right. Thanks, Ricardo. Now we'll go to MD. MD, what are your thoughts on the Israel situation? All these different issues they have going on.
To Ricardo's point, I believe it was a couple of days ago where the UN voted to make Palestine a full member of UN, and the US blocked it.
Yes.
They vetoed it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so again, it definitely shows you what the position is when it comes to the US. Now here's the problem. We talk all this stuff about Netanyahu and trying to get him up out of here. What point is that going to make when you got people like Yoav Gallant is just as extreme as Netanyahu? You got people, what's the other guy's name that wears the glasses? Ben Gvir. Just as extreme as probably worse. Probably. You know what I mean? The issue is just not Netanyahu, it's the whole government. The Likud party. What's the other party? The party that Ben Gvir is with, I believe they call the Torah Nationalists. Hey, folks, this is what's going on with Trump right now. This may seem like some isolated incident. It's not. What's going on in our country right now is going on around the world. The Identitary Party and Identity Europa and all this stuff. We are living in a time, like again, like I always say, there's nothing new up under the sun, folks. It's deja vu all over again, just a new generation. The same talking points that were going on pre-World War II is happening and is rearing its ugly head yet again. Everybody it's almost like all the nations are trying to, snuggle back into their cubby hole, so to speak, and become isolationists and try to have this nativist attitude. But we've seen throughout the course of history what that causes. And this is the very same thing that was happening pre-World War II. Same thing. So, in my opinion, just my opinion, now I ain't saying that, this is something set in stone or definite. In my opinion, the world has to align to call out the hypocrisy, call out the systematic erasure of a people, much like what happened in South Africa. Apartheid was going on up until a point where it got so big where the other nations just couldn't deny it anymore. And that's what stopped apartheid. It wasn't no collective of South Africa. It wasn't that. It was a world collective. Collective meaning identified as a global society. We're seeing that happen with Israel. Biden, he faces a tough task ahead. Because how long, especially in the age of social media, how long are you going to try to toe the line, so to speak, or tiptoe through the tulips in regards to a diplomatic action of what Israel is doing? That video was heartbreaking. Not only was the baby prematurely birthed, but birthed amongst turmoil and attack. Like how long do you think people gonna stand for that?
Yep, facts.
So you at a critical point, a critical juncture of your campaign. We're starting to see him implement these sanctions or whatnot on some of these factions within the IDF. That ain't enough for me. You're gonna have to take the snake's head off at the end of the day. And that not only goes to Netanyahu, but that goes to the whole Knesset in Israel. Point blank period. Because all of them got that same attitude. The only ones that's speaking out that's governmental entities in Israel is the opposition party. They the only ones. That general, he was a fall guy. Trust and believe that. He was a scapegoat. None of it matters if the policies are still driven to annihilate them Palestinian people. Hell, Yoav Gallant said, I remember when all this was happening, he said if it was up to him, his goal, no Palestinian would be able to come back to northern Gaza. Period. If it was up to him. So getting rid of Netanyahu ain't gonna change nothing. You got to change the whole face of what government is in Israel. And the only way to do that is to unify Gaza and Israel and create one state, not two, one state that's free for all. And that's where I'm at with it.
Jeremy, what's your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are follow the money trail. What just passed? $95 billion. Where's it going? It's going to Israel, Ukraine. That tells you where they lie. It's not going to stop. They're laying in bed with them. And they're going to continue to agree with them because of financial ties. You know, you want to put sanctions on Iran for attacking Israel, put sanctions on the other countries that attack other countries as well. Don't be a hypocrite. You know, what makes one better than the other? What makes that cause greater than the next? If they really cared, they would go for non-war, and they wouldn't fund war. Because when you fund the war, you just throw the gas in the fire, and you just watch it burn from afar. And those innocent people, the blood is on their hands. Those choices that they decide to make each and every day, the blood is on their hands. All of these innocent people, you can say that people, I love when people say, oh, well, Israel. Well, that's not Israel. The governments of Israel, the people of Israel clearly don't believe the same thing. Same thing as they say the United States. Well, the masses of the United States really don't agree with what the United States government does. Same thing in every other country. These countries, these regular people are hurting because rich, empowered, greedy, filthy men and women lust for power, lust for control, and it's disgusting. And the governments are not helping. They're just continuing to fan the flames. I say it over and over again. The government is not going to save you. No government's going to save you because it's not in them. Only is in them to protect their interests, their financial interests that are tied. It's all about the dollar. That's what it's about. And innocent people are dying because of it. And it's sickening and it's gross. And I hope and pray that these people are taken out of power altogether. Every single one of them. Every single one of them. And I hope none climb into power. I know it's unrealistic, but that's what my hope is. Because they cannot lead the people. They can't. Because all they do is think about violence, murder, and bloodshed. And that's, you know, how you guys say, if it quacks like a duck, it's got to be a duck, right? It walks like a duck, quacks like a duck. Well, what are we seeing? It's walking and quacking like a duck. Why are we looking for something else when they're already showing you what they are? They are what they are. Stop trying to believe that there's something else. They're not anything else. That's what they are. They're murderers, thieves, genocidal maniacs. That's what they are. And I'll leave it there.
Van Cat, you tuning up the band, huh? I let me guess what's next.
First things first, in this lame duck session.
For the United Nations General Assembly to share the extraordinary progress we've made. In less than 2 years, my administration has accomplished more than almost any administration in the history of our country. America's so true. Didn't expect that reaction, but that's okay.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
You're trying your best, but it never feels like enough.
I started having second thoughts almost the moment I sat down on the plane.
Lights off! Off! Turn them off. They're too bright. Turn them off. Turn them off. Let's go. Ready? Turn
We go back a long way. She was 12, I was 30, but anyway.
So I changed my return flight and flew back on the first available flight I could take.
I'm sick and tired of smart guys.
I'm sick and tired of ordinary people being fleeced.
I'm tired of being quiet.
I'm sick and tired. I'm just sick and tired. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
With great power comes great responsibility.
These lights are so bright in my eyes that I can't see too many people out there. But I can only see the black ones. I can't see any white ones. You see? That's how far I've come. That's how far I've come. That's a long way, isn't it? These eyes. You want to see a bird graveyard? You just go. Take a look. A bird graveyard? Go under a windmill someday. You'll see more birds than you've ever seen in your life.
All right. Now, last night we showed you a clip from my next guest who has a message for the Democratic Party. Here's a reminder.
It's much ado about nothing. To my liberal friends out there, all you're doing is showing that you're scared you can't beat them on the issues and the merits.
Here now with more. ESPN host, the one, the only, he hates to admit he's a friend of mine. You can admit it. Just say it. My friend Stephen A. Smith is here.
Of course we're friends, man. Obviously, I took a lot of heat. A lot of people didn't like the fact that I said it. They wish that I had it. And when I give a damn, I'll let you know. I don't care. I'm going to speak my mind. I'm going to speak what I believe to be true. And when I think about Donald Trump, I think about this case in New York. I mean, I'm looking at the Democrats right now. And again, primarily, I have voted Democrat throughout my life, but I'm utterly disgusted with what I'm seeing because it seems to me that they're trying to use the law in the courts. They've clearly politicized this thing with Donald Trump because they can't come up with a strategy to offset the momentum he's clearly gained. In at least 5 polls, he's up. He's up in the polls over Biden, at least 5 polls that I counted. That's the reality of the situation. Despite the counts against them, the indictments against them, being impeached twice and all of this other stuff, he is the presumptive GOP nominee. And you don't seem to have the issues in your favor, you believe. So because of that, you're going to manipulate the system as best as you possibly can to avoid him possibly running for re-election again. That appears to be their strategy, but I'm here to tell you, it's not working. It's not working at all. And to be quite honest with you, I don't mind the fact that it's not working because I might not be a supporter of Donald Trump, but I want him to lose the right way. I want him to lose because you have better ideas and you make your case to the American people better than he does. That's why I want him to lose. I don't want him to lose the way they're trying to make him lose, because I actually think that the case in New York City is pretty weak, if not flat out bogus. Have you remember John Edwards? Have you remember Gary Hart? Have you remembered some of the things that Clinton has gone through? Now we're going to talk about a hush money case that took place while he was running for election in 2016, but he was in office until 2020, and now here you are in 2024, months before another election, that he's the presumptive GOP nominee, and this is what you're trying to do. It's a disgrace. It's weak. It's pathetic. And somebody needs to say it. The Democrats need to come up with a better strategy.
We all can have our opinion on something, but what we cannot have are our own facts on something. So what Stephen A. had to say in terms of by saying that this is bogus, here's the problem. What Donald Trump is on trial for is literally the exact same thing his attorney pled guilty on. This is a press release from August 21st, 2018, from the Department of Justice, from the U.S. Attorney's Office, the Southern District of New York. It says Michael Cohen pleads guilty in Manhattan federal court to 8 counts, including criminal tax evasion and campaign finance violations. So wait a minute. If the charges against Trump are bogus, were the charges against Michael Cohen bogus? The facts are the facts. If you break the law, you break the law. Here we have the attorney for Donald Trump who pled guilty to the charges. That wasn't a Democratic setup. No Democrat made Donald Trump illegally pay off a porn star and use his attorney to hide the payoff because he did not want the voters to know about it.
That I've ever had to articulate out of my mouth from a political perspective. But I got to tell you something. As much as people may have been abhorred by Donald Trump's statement weeks ago, talking about how black folks, he's hearing that black folks find him relatable because what he's going through is similar to what black Americans have gone through. He wasn't lying. He was telling the truth. When you see the law enforcement, the court system, and everything else being exercised against him, it is something that black folks throughout this nation can relate to with some of our historic, iconic figures. We've seen that happen throughout society.
Stop right
so
there.
No matter what, as unpopular as it was, as much as we didn't like to hear it, it's the truth. And there's no way around it because people don't understand this when it comes, especially the black folks. Okay, let me tell you something right now, Sean. When you talk about the economy, to black folks that means money. To everybody, it means money, but especially to us, okay, who are no longer the dominant minority in this country. Those are the Latinos. When we talk about the economy, we're not talking about, the state of affairs economically or even the job participation rate. We're talking about the money that you keep in your pocket. When you go to the gas station and it's exorbitant prices, when you go to the supermarket and milk and bread and cheese and all of this other stuff is exorbitantly high compared to what it once was, that is a red flag to a lot of folks because the
So we want to compare an economy pre-COVID to post-COVID. Sure, we can do that. While doing that, though, we might want to talk about that the black unemployment rate hit a lower point under Biden than it did under Trump. We might want to talk about that more black businesses have been created under Biden than Trump. So this is not a question of they're trying to get Trump. They got Cohen, and he pled guilty to the exact same thing. Now, when Stephen A. was talking there, he mentioned several people. He mentioned John Edwards. On June 3rd, 2011, this is a press release from the Department of Justice. Former Senate and presidential candidate John Edwards charged for alleged role in scheme to violate federal campaign finance laws. Now, this was, of course, after the fact. Now remember, he was the VP nominee for John Kerry. He was charged 2011. He, of course, was a former United States Senator. Was this Republicans going after a Democrat, John Edwards, in order to keep a Democrat out of the White House? Hold up. My bad. The date here says Friday, June 3rd, 2011. Oh, a Democrat was in the White House. Oh, I'm sorry. Was Obama president? Obama was elected 2009. Am I right? So this is 6-count indictment against former Senator John Edwards for violating federal election laws during his campaign for president of the United States. Quote, public servants are held to the same laws. This is the key. Public servants are held to the same laws as everyone else in this country. The position sought does not exempt anyone, even those running for president of the United States. See, here's the problem here. When I saw the segment, and then when I hear these conservatives, what they're suggesting is going after Donald Trump is just so wrong. But if you don't do wrong shit, they don't go after you.
All right. There he is. There he goes. Put the spotlight on Stephen A. Smith.
It's finished, Princess. Where's the classifier?
This week's Trash Bag Human of the Week, number 35. Jeremy, what's your thoughts here on lame duck number 35, Stephen A. Smith?
I think Stephen A. Smith, it makes sense that they clearly did it because it is coming out on that time where they're really pushing it. Now, he's not the first one to have it happen to, clearly. It's wrong no matter how you slice it, but they are doing that. They really are. I'm not a Trump supporter, but that's what they're doing. I'm just going to call it for what it is. They are trying to, it's old smear tactics, smear campaigns. That's what politics is. It's just smear tactics. I mean, this is just another level of it. Roland Martin didn't really have too many points because the whole Cohen thing, he pled guilty. Then why didn't they hit him right then and there if he pled guilty to it? They should have got Donald Trump right then and there. Why wait? They already had everything. They had his crony. They clearly had everything they needed for Donald Trump to do it. Why didn't they do it then? They all should be in prison. Let's be real. They all should be tried and thrown in prison for all the things that they do. But they never will. It's just pick and choose who you want to do it. And that's where I'm going to leave it.
All right, MD, what's your thoughts on number 35 of the lame duck?
I've been telling folks for years now, stop listening to Stephen A. Smith. Not just from a sport aspect, because in my opinion, he don't know what the hell he's talking about in that regard either. But it's a microcosm of a macrocosm. Stop listening to these figures to be some type of voice of societal direction, because they're not. Stephen A. Smith don't know what the hell he's talking about. He got debunked by all people. My arch nemesis, Roland Martin. By all people. That's crazy to me. You got to be one complete idiot to be debunked by Roland Martin. But I've been saying this for years. Now, Jeremy, you were wrong on so many points. Here's the first one. You posed the question. You said when they got Michael Cohen, why didn't they get Trump right after? Because Michael Cohen didn't start cooperating with the Manhattan DA as soon as he got locked up. Michael Cohen has only been cooperating from the sense of what's relative to Trump for only a few months. Remember, Michael Cohen initially had the oversight committee hearing. When was that, Van Cat, when Michael Cohen testified to Congress?
Wasn't that last year?
Was it last year?
I think it was sometime last year.
Right. So again, that debunks that point. Michael Cohen only just now started cooperating with officials in regards to what the actual payment that he made to Stormy Daniels.
Right.
And from that, the snowball rolled down the hill, finding out other things. We just now finding out these last couple of days about the David Pecker guy. About selling the stories to the National Enquirer. Did nobody know nothing about that? So new revelations are unfolding as we speak. Stuff we didn't even know about. DA Bragg just said there's also going to be a new crime, suggesting that it's going to be a new set of charges put out against Trump based on the information that's being brought out in this case. So again, when people say, well, why didn't they get him during his presidency or whatever? Because we didn't know. Michael Cohen was a good soldier and he kept his mouth shut. He went to jail for the man. So that kills that argument. But when Trump turned his back against Michael Cohen and showed his true face, meaning his ass, Michael Cohen said, oh, you want to play that game? Then let me just go and tell it then. And that's exactly what he's doing. So again, this is an intricate web of deception that we're dealing with, folks. Intricate web. What type of fool would I be to think that this is some type of political scheme in order to keep Trump? That's me saying there is no crime involved. So Stephen A is double speaking because he'll identify and accept that there was crime that was committed, yet it's some type of political scheme from the Democrats. That doesn't make no sense. That's double speak. It's double speak. Then the nail in the coffin. You're going to equate what Trump is going through to black folks getting locked up and persecuted by the police. That summed it up for me, folks. That summed it up for me. I don't know too many black folks that's being charged with falsifying business records. Do you, Van Cat?
Not at all.
Van Cat, are you on probation for paying hush money to a porn star? Is that what you did?
Maybe next year.
Hey, fake it till you make it, I guess. But in any event, what type of comparison is that? And then say the great civil rights leaders. There you see the image that just came out with MLK and Trump. Trump, some type of way, he performed a seance and brought MLK to endorse him in this latest campaign of president. I guess that's what he did. This is sad, folks. What type of person would I be to equate persecution of Trump versus persecution of a group of people that was fighting for true freedom and liberation for a certain group of people? You know how asinine that sounds? Asinine. There is no persecution. You break the law, you go to jail for it. Or you pay subsequent amount. Either one. Cash or ass is what the old folks used to say. So again, we got to stop with the BS, man. For him to tout these conspiracy theories just shows you the depths in which these people don't understand the political acumen in terms of what we're dealing with and what society faces to this day. Asinine is what this man says. Stop listening to people like Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith is no different from the person that he accused of being stupid, Jason Whitlock. No different. The hell with both of them, if you ask me. We got to stop, folks. It's dangerous. Low-level collective thought. It's dangerous.
And so a thing that is really troubling is this, and he pretty much spit out every hallmark note that Republicans, or I should say MAGA people, are just sticking on. There's no equating the plight of black people with police and laws and whatnot to what Donald Trump is going through. Donald Trump didn't give back papers when the FBI asked him to give back papers, and gave him a significant amount of time. And then after the very last bit of time, when they said it's over, it's taking too long, then they charged him. That's a completely different scenario than what a regular guy on the street is faced with. And to go with that's such a ludicrous statement to make that it should not even pass your kitchen table. But it's on the news. It's celebrities and other personalities repeating and regurgitating it, and it's just really off-putting because, I mean, you sound like a dumbass when you say stuff like that. And I think when it's being said, nobody's shooting it down for the ridiculousness that it is. And it's also insulting to black people, like, oh yeah, man, we bond on the idea that we get locked up together, and like that is not
the lowest level of black thinking. Lowest level.
Right.
Van Cat, me and you in the alleyway, Van Cat. We selling weed. We get locked up.
Yeah.
We bond out of jail, then we come out of jail talking to the news. This is a witch hunt made by crooked Joe Biden for me selling weed. That's what I can equate this to. It's stupid.
And no charge is ridiculous. Every charge actually happened. You could say what's weakest or whatnot, but it's a big freaking deal. One, you did a sensational scandal with a porn star. You want to look past that? Good. But then two, you take money, not from your own pocket, but from your campaign. And then you paid it, but you didn't pay it. You went underhand because you knew it was illegal. So you gave it to your attorney to buffer and money laundry it.
And called it a retainer fee is what you call it.
That is blatantly breaking the law. And it's just like, if you can't see that, you don't want to see that. Like, I can't help you.
I agree. I agree he's guilty of doing it. I'm not questioning him being guilty. We all know he's guilty of doing it. I'm saying the timing is all I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I know he did it. I know he did it. There's no doubt about it. He did it.
But we all should pretty much understand that with lawsuits, with court systems, the time is always going to be a bit of time. It's not going to be like, oh, you did this on Tuesday and on Thursday, here you go. It's not going to be like that.
Clearly.
Right. And without Cohen, you have no indictment. Period.
Right.
Cohen took the fall initially. He was willing to take the fall because he was thinking that Trump had his back. He didn't.
Well, Trump has nobody's back but himself, so he's everybody's best friend, yet everybody's enemy. We know that.
And I've noticed Stephen A. Smith, he's been alluding to this for a long time. A year ago, he was talking about, every time they give a charge, it's just going to make him more popular and more this and more that. There might have been a slight spike or whatnot in campaign donations, but look at the big picture. He is vastly under Joe Biden and the Democrats for raising money. So it's like a nonsense statement to make. Just because you excite a bunch of racists, a bunch of un-American people that are backing you, doesn't mean it means anything in the big scope of things, you know. So
and where are these black people that feel this empathy toward Donald Trump? Where they at? Show me the number. Show me the numbers in which backs up your claim. I don't see them.
And the name can't be Pookie and Lump Lump.
Niggas for Trump ain't gonna do it.
You gotta have a real government issued name. It can't be Pookie.
Yeah, that the whole black thing is definitely that he put on is ridiculous. There's not even that's like not even that's worse than apples and oranges. It's worse.
So Stephen A. Smith goes on Fox News and he starts doing the Happy Negro dance, entertaining
right?
entertaining that audience and singing their song that they want to hear, rather than just being real about what it is and just saying what it is. Because if you watch on his show, he does a lot of, which I've noticed this with people, especially today. They are on a weird perspective of something where it's a horrible take on something, but they will pepper a bunch of things that a lot of people will agree. The consensus would be, okay, that makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. And then boom, drop the stupid note right in the middle to kind of like buffer this idea that they're completely, irrational.
It's called the word salad.
Yeah. Oh my God. All day. And this is something that's been going on for a while. And he just needs to be called out for it because it's irresponsible for him. As MD said, Roland Martin, he just like, and first of all, that video is like almost 2 hours long. I cut it down to like 8 minutes of what he said. So some of the things you're saying, Jeremy, he knocked that down as well as to why it takes so long. There's an article in the FBI and blah, 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 that, stops them from going about it and whatnot. There's a whole bunch of other things connected to this.
Yeah, that's fine. I was just going on what I heard on that. That's all I was doing.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just a lot of things that are just so wrong. Like, why would Stephen A. Smith irresponsibly get on a media channel and then just spout a bunch of misinformation just to please a certain audience? It's just weird to me.
Not only that, Van Kant, if you go back and listen to the indictment that Alvin Bragg bought, he didn't do any federal charges because he can't, like he's a state DA. But in the indictment, it is implicated that based on what the indictments are, there is suspicion of federal campaign fraud. Now that hasn't been brought up. It may be possible that it will be brought up. But based off that, what was Trump doing at the time? He was president. So if you have a case that's implicating any type of federal charge, you can't bring it up because the president can't be brought up on federal charges.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, Lord. So initially when I saw it, I was like, what is he talking about? When is he going on and on about, rambling on and on about? It was just kind of like a bizarre catch-22 from him because I expected better from Stephen A. as a sports commentator. But when you jump into the political ring, it's kind of like things are in political spectrum of things. It's kind of like I expect better. It's very oh man. I'm gonna try to be impartial on the part of like knowing it's Stephen A. because he says things just to be heightened in terms of the heightened in terms of the topic at hand. But when you say that the black community can identify with Trump on account of we get why he when they're going after him in such a way and whatnot, there's no way that I can relate to that. That doesn't make any sense. For one, he's a billionaire. Two, he gets priority because he was a one-time president. There's no way that he could relate to my cause in terms of what I go through. Like if we're going to use the black card, he would never know what it feels like, how I would feel, because I'm constantly going to be scrutinized. I'm going to be constantly be looked at when I walked anywhere and so forth. So the argument that he had was very mute, and it was very weird to hear him even discuss that. So that being stated, Stephen A., you are the lame duck because nothing you said in terms of the comparison of Trump and the black community made sense. And you going down that rabbit hole was a cause for your own political indecisiveness. And, sir, nothing made sense. So you just pretty much went down a end ramble, like what MD will say. And I'm just going to leave it at that. You are the lame duck for this week, and just do better next time, sir. Just do better.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and wrap the show up now. So we'll do our final sign-offs. We'll start with Jeremy.
All right, fellas. It was nice yet again to have a conversation with you. I always enjoy it. You know what else is nice? I saw a couple scriptures being thrown out there this evening by Mr. MD and Ricardo. I love hearing it. But no, it's always good talking to you guys and hearing what you guys have to say about different situations and things that are going on. It's nice to see that somebody's using YouTube for something positive and good instead of something stupid and idiotic. It's always nice to see that. It's, you know, thank you guys for allowing me on. Thank you guys for, you know, being patient with me and you know, you guys helped me out in my understanding in some ways on the political spectrum and things. I enjoy the different thoughts you guys have on all the different topics. It's really a breath of fresh air to talk to intelligent individuals. So thank you guys again. God bless you and peace.
Peace, Jeremy. The technician.
So, Ricardo, what's your final sign-off?
Great show. You guys touched on pertinent topics at hand, and I look forward to next week's episode, and looking forward to the panel coming back with their political views. So with that being stated, peace, and we look forward to seeing y'all, but don't come with your nonsense of spewing your diatribe, because we're not going to put up with nonsense. See you later.
Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat your...
All right, MD, your final sign-off.
Hey, man, great show as always, man. You know, pertinent topics being discussed, pertinent topics being discussed. And as always, I'll see y'all Thursday, MD's Thought Box Live, and we'll be discussing the truth about the migrant crisis. You know what I mean? I'm gonna get that all out. We gonna sit down and we gonna have an intimate discussion about what's really going on with the migrant issue, as well as the news, of course, for the week.
All right, thank you for that, MD. I'd like to thank everybody. Of course, Tequila, she's awesome, man. Just great job. Tequila, I'd like to thank the panel, of course. You got Ricardo, MD20. We got Jeremy, and of course, we got others, Mike, of course, Mr. Straight Talk, everyone else tuning in, of course, Bones, Zay. Appreciate the viewership. We'll see you guys next week. All right, so thanks everyone for watching.
We're also going to unleash American energy, including shale oil, natural gas, She just said a terrible thing. You know what she said? Shout it out, because I don't want to... Okay, you're not allowed to say, and I never expect to hear that from you again. She said, I never expect to hear that from you again. She said he's... That's terrible. Terrible. We're also going to unleash American energy, including shale oil, natural gas,